Good morning, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Ashley and I am the Witchy Hippie. So today I thought I would have a little therapy session with you guys and kind of open up about some more personal stuff because I clearly haven't done that already. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my experiences with judgment growing up and how that's kind of affected me and basically guided me onto this whole new spiritual journey in life. And I think it's important that we look back at our past and we take all those hard times as lessons and try and learn and grow from them. So I, for one, always remember wanting to be liked by everybody. I just wanted everyone to like me, and they didn't have to love me, but I definitely could not handle someone disliking me. And I think for me, the reason I felt that way was I was bullied when I was younger. And I just remember always feeling really judged, whether that was by my physical appearance or by my personality. And it really hurt. So because I experienced a lot of that pain, I kind of grew up wanting to counteract that and make sure that I just did everything in my power to make sure that people always liked me, and I always said yes, and I always wanted to be there for my friends, and I always wanted to have these lavish parties so that people can come and enjoy themselves and think wonderful things about me. And I just really didn't want to be judged. And looking back, I feel like that made things a lot worse because I focused more on what people thought about me than what I actually thought about myself, which is really sad because I knew deep inside that I was a good person with a good heart, but all of my efforts were not really being reciprocated back because ultimately people might have liked me at that time, but because I didn't make an effort to show them more of myself rather than how wonderful I may look, I think the overall facade of everything just kind of faded and people just started to lose interest in me. And that really hurt my feelings because I did not want people to dislike me. So I continued this throughout my teenage years and I continued it into my 20s. And now I am 31 and I'm finally in a place in my life where I don't care what people think and I don't care about other people judging me because I've spent so much time suppressing anything that I've wanted to enjoy or do or act on because I didn't want people to judge me the wrong way. And even though I went about trying to do things the right way in hopes that people didn't judge me, it still backfired. So, I mean, I was losing either way. So it was really important for me to really push aside everyone's opinion and just focus on myself. And I literally had to like relearn who I was as a person all over again. I had no idea who I was. I thought I knew who I was. I thought I was, you know, this person who had this job and this personality, and, you know, I just didn't know anything about myself. So I made a really blunt decision to, as I've mentioned in my past video, to ghost a lot of people in my life. And some of them I've ghosted, some of them I slowly weaned off, some of them I had, you know, interactions where I communicated, you know, this friendship or this relationship is not going to be, you know, going forward in my life because I just didn't feel like it was fitting with what I was trying to put out in terms of like my intent for the future. And I know it seems crazy and kind of stuck up to be like, oh, just because someone else's beliefs or lifestyle doesn't match mine, that how dare I just brush them off and get rid of them. But ultimately, having them around is what was holding me back from having any sort of courage to pursue my lifestyle, was because I knew that if I pursued anything and everything I wanted to do, I was going to be judged. And it may not have been the judgment that would have came verbally from them at first, but I knew that I wasn't going to get the support that I needed or wanted, which in then would make me hold back from wanting to be true to myself. And not only that, is spending all these years with these people that I thought were my friends, that I thought had my back, that I thought cared about me, was really hard because I spent so much time trying to please them that I couldn't please myself. So I really had to just erase everyone. Well, maybe not everyone, but like 98% of the people in my life I had to clear so that I could have a clean slate in terms of discovering what I was interested in, what I enjoyed doing, how I wanted to carry myself, how I wanted to dress, how I wanted to look. These were all things that I really did not explore because I just felt I had to be a certain way to be liked and approved and not judged. So I took those steps, and they were really hard because I didn't have anyone except for my husband and a couple family members to really go to for support. But I knew that it was so crucially important for me to do this so I could discover who the hell I am as a person, because I didn't know who I was. So on that journey, I really just started to, you know what, I have to give thanks to my husband because he really encouraged me to just take a step back, quiet down all the noise around me, and just listen to like my heart and my soul and just go with whatever felt right. And sometimes the things that you enjoy and the things that feel right are so unfamiliar and so weird, and you wonder, how is this going to bring me any happiness in life? But I could see that that's what he was doing, and he was growing and flourishing and becoming this person that I never thought he could be. Like, my husband is not at all the same man that I married 5 years ago or that I met 10 years ago. He's not even close to the same person, but the man that he's grown into, I find so incredibly inspiring, and I'm just so proud of him for taking these steps to pursue his passions and his dreams, because I wanted to do that and I didn't have the balls. I didn't have any confidence in myself to do any of that. I was so afraid of people judging me. So having no one around to judge me, it really helped me kind of experiment. So I really started to embrace my inner child. And I talk about this a lot and I've mentioned it to people, but I'm all about embracing your inner child, because who you are as a child, I believe personally, that is who you are meant to be throughout your life. That being said, we obviously grow up having more responsibilities and more adult things to worry about. But your soul, when you're a kid or a child, it's so pure and it's so fragile. And I mean, I can't speak for everyone because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have gone through some really traumatic stuff as a child, and that might have made it hard for them to basically enjoy their childhood, and maybe looking back, they can't have that same joy that I have, because I remember having like an amazing childhood. I had, my parents were still together at the time, and, although we didn't have a lot of money, they spoiled us rotten as if we were rich. And I had a very loving household, and I had a huge family that all loved me, and extended family, and like I said, birthday parties, and I was spoiled rotten. So I look back on my childhood and I'm so grateful, but because of those opportunities and all those advantages, I was really able to just be a happy child. And I remember loving, dress up and putting, different hairstyles together and dressing a certain way and playing with Barbie and just kind of daydreaming. And that was that was my outlet as a child, was just being creative. And growing up, going through all these traumatic things, I just stopped feeling creative. I was just, it became, okay, school, and after school, find work, and you have to, financially be set. You have to have a relationship, and then get married, and then have a family, and buy a house. And it was just so overwhelming that I kind of ignored all of that. And I tried to go on this path of life that we're all expected to go on. And I ended up failing miserably because I didn't really pursue much after high school, considering how horrible I hated elementary school. And junior high school wasn't terrible. I think that's the only time in my life where I really felt like I was making friends and gaining confidence. But then I moved at the age of 16, and then high school was a nightmare. And because of my anxiety, I had a hard time attending classes. I was skipping all the time. So school for me just felt like a dead end. And I somehow, I trickled into a job that I had no intent on doing. And I ended up getting a job at a private school, and I was working with, a kindergarten age group, and I was teaching French to them, which at the time I was like, this is great. This is so fulfilling. And I'm teaching another language to these children, and I just felt really good about myself. And I had stayed there for 8 years. But in those 8 years, I did not move up at all in my job. I definitely can't say that it was a good paying job, even though it sounded like a wonderful title or position, and it was at a private school. I was underpaid for sure. And the amount of energy that I was putting into my job in terms of creating lessons and buying material, because they were too cheap to buy material for us. It was insane, and I felt hopeless. I felt, my gosh, I can't be here anymore, and I didn't want to be there anymore. So I quit. And as crazy as that might have been, because I had a secure job and I had benefits, it was just draining my soul, because I felt like there is no way I'm going to be able to flourish when I'm working somewhere that, for one, is not uplifting at all, because the management there was terrible. Aside from the fact that I got to work with incredible ladies there, the staff was amazing. I can't say that about everyone. There's obviously always going to be a few bad apples, but otherwise, I was really lucky to work alongside some incredible, talented, smart, witty women. And that was what kept me there for 8 years. That's the only thing that kept me there. And the children, obviously. I built a lot of strong relationships with the parents, and this brought a lot of opportunities for me outside of work, because I then started to tutor at the library, and I had my own little side business going. So it seemed like I had a lot going on for myself, but I just felt like that wasn't my dream. That wasn't my goal. And I knew that anything that I wanted to pursue outside of that, I was gonna have to search really deep to figure out what I wanted to do to be happy. And I had to do it without the judgment. So I kind of went off track there. But anyways, my whole point of this is, up until the last maybe 2.5 years, I've really just started to do little things that make me really happy. And those things can be as simple as reintroducing all of my old childhood obsessions like Barbie back into my life, because my mom was smart in that sense, and she kept all of my toys from Barbie. She kept my Barbie dolls, she kept like the house setting things, the Barbie things I played with, and my Barbie car. And I remember all these years I would see them in storage at her house, and I would say, why do you have this? Just get rid of it. I don't need this. I don't want this. Little did I know that bringing it into my life, it would just bring me this sort of like childlike happiness. And I really loved it. And I started to feel really creative. And then I just started to get into crafting. And then I started to embrace girly things, because I really was not in tune with my feminine side, I guess, for a lot of years. I kind of was just always wearing casual clothes, bumming around. I never did my hair. I never really wore makeup. And although I don't wear makeup every day, I do make a point to put on makeup because it makes me feel good. And, you know, I made a point to start doing my hair more often because that makes me happy. And, you know, even something as simple as dyeing my hair pink, which may not be a big deal these days because it seems like everyone is dyeing their hair some crazy color. I got judged for it hardcore in the beginning by family members, and after I quit my job of 8 years and was working with my mom, I would go on different job sites with her, and the clients would straight out judge me. They would look at me and automatically assume that I'm either a teenager or that I'm just completely naive, incapable, and too immature to be on the job site for whatever reason. I really couldn't understand, but it was hurtful. But I didn't change my hair color and, you know, get rid of the pink. I just thought to myself, you don't like it too bad because this makes me happy. So making all these little steps into finding out what makes me happy is kind of what's building my confidence and helping me grow and figure out what I enjoy in life, what I don't. And like even something as crazy as my room that I'm in right now. I call it my Barbie room because I have a lot of my Barbie figures in here, and it's obviously like this pink Barbie color, and I had to add these awesome blue stripes because pink and blue are my favorite colors. And I'm sure that people might look at it and think, oh my God, you're so mature, or that's so childish. And I don't care because this room just made me so happy. And sometimes on days where I'm really stressed or I've had a long day of work and I just feel so uninspired, I come in this room and it literally like uplifts me, like it picks my energy up and it makes me happy. And I just sit in here sometimes and I'll watch a movie on Netflix or I'll just relax with my cat. And I think it's important to just be proud of the things that make you happy and not ashamed or embarrassed because of the judgment that you might experience. And I really want people to understand that, like, when you have people judging you, a lot of the time it comes from their own insecurity and their own unhappiness. And if you just kind of remember that, you can take what people say to you with a grain of salt when they are judging you. And you can take it a little less personally and realize, you know what, I understand that what I'm doing might make these people feel uncomfortable and they might judge me, but it's only coming from their own insecurities because they might not be able to feel like they can do that themselves without being judged. And they will be judged if they do, but the point of it is to not care about what people think. And on that note, I've had a really hard time with family because I come from a very large family, large on my mom's side, not so much on my dad's side. And I've always tried to communicate with them what I'm doing in my life or the steps that I've been taking to kind of change for my own personal growth. And it came with so much backlash and so much judgment and so much like just misunderstanding on their end. And although I try to explain to them where I'm coming from, I just wasn't feeling the support. And because I was still, and am still in such an incredibly fragile state of mind, emotionally and mentally, I have to make that decision to distance myself from my family so that I can find happiness. Because like I said, I spent too much time saying yes to family events and family members and just agreeing to do things for the sake of making other people happy or for the sake of them not judging me because of what I really wanted to do and say. And all it's done is made me very resentful and hurt, because I say this to my husband, I think I'm one of like the least judgmental people that I know. Like, I would never judge anyone based on their financial situation, emotional situation, based on their choice of relationship, on their lifestyle. I'm so against judging a book by its cover, and I'm extremely empathetic in that sense, where if I see someone going through something or if they're acting a certain way, I will really look past that initial wall or whatever it is that they're displaying, and I'll just think to myself, for instance, if someone is being incredibly hurtful or rude, whether it's to myself or a stranger, I can only imagine that they are so incredibly hurt from past experiences that they do not know how to properly express themselves to not be doing the harm that they're doing to others. And a lot of people don't want to see the good in people or think that people have a dark past. But truth be told, like, we all have demons, we all have our sob stories and our life experiences and just traumatic events that we've gone through, and we don't all throw it out for the whole world to know. We really just kind of suppress it, bury it, ignore it, and I was the queen of doing that. So I feel like a lot of people are still judging me because they think, wow, you know, you don't make an effort to reach out to certain family members, or you don't make an effort to attend certain events. And what they don't realize is, if I don't want to attend a certain event, it's probably for a very personal reason, and it's not anything for them to take personally, and it's not anything that I have against them. It's me looking out for myself, my own mental health and well-being that I am working on every single day. And when I get to a point where I feel like I'm emotionally and mentally and spiritually strong enough to handle certain events and be around certain family members, when that time comes, I'll attempt it. And you know what? There has to be some sort of realization too that not all family members are healthy for you. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people to process, because I hear it all the time. Family first, you know, and, you know, blood is thicker than, you know, you hear it from everyone. It's like, you can't go against your family because they're always there for you. And although I absolutely believe in that, no one's family is the same. Everyone's family is different. Everyone's personality in each family and their dynamics and their beliefs, it's so different. So what might work for one family, which is sticking together and having that bond and just, you know, being there, I really admire that. But unfortunately, for my circumstances, I don't feel like I have that solid foundation of a family, and I felt like it kind of crumbled as my parents split up. And, you know, although I've tried to keep family members involved in my life over the years, I just found it to be incredibly difficult, and it was causing me to be more stressed, more depressed, more unhappy, having to say yes to everyone just so they wouldn't be angry with me, and then I would, you know, I would go home and be angry with myself for a month or two. So it really was not doing myself any good in life. So I think it's important to be very empathetic and try and be understanding to everyone's situation, and to not judge them based on what you think you know and see. I post a lot of happy, uplifting stories on Instagram and a lot of motivational things, but little do people know is I'm fighting depression every single day. I spent my whole entire weekend feeling depressed and sobbing and just feeling low. And then I had to pick myself up and continue on with life. But you don't post these things because, you know, people don't want to see the bad. They usually just want to see the highlights of your life. And I've always been conscious of that, and I try really hard to not just show people the ups of my life, but I'm very honest about the downs. And I'll post things and stories of myself sobbing like a baby and why I'm upset. But I don't make it this depressing, feel bad for me. I try and make it really positive, and at the end of whatever I'm posting, I try and put something inspirational or motivational, or I'll try and put a message about how even though it may be bringing me down, I'm going to continue to be strong and I'm not going to let it affect me, and it's only in this moment that I feel that way. So I think that if we all were just a little bit less judgmental and try to see everyone's situation from someone else's perspective, you know, saying you don't know someone's life until you've walked a mile in their shoes, and it's true, you absolutely don't. And I think that we need to make a bigger effort to maybe not walk a mile in someone else's shoes, but, you know, just look past what you initially see and just try and see the good and the best out of everyone. Because we live in a world with so much hate and so much criticism and so much judgment, and it's a lot of pressure on everyone. And I don't think people realize that we're all secretly suffering, like every single one of us. Even though you may have an amazing life, you're probably still dealing with some kind of personal demon, and that's okay. It's just unfortunate that we don't feel like we can talk about it sometimes in fear of people looking at us and just assuming that they know whatever is going on. So that being said, I'm gonna end it off here because this video turned out to be much longer than I expected, and I don't want to drag on the topic. I just want to leave it on a positive note that don't fear judgment. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you like, what you love, what brings you happiness. Be true to yourself. Follow your inner child and just listen to your soul, because I really believe that we are just, you know, our body is just a vessel and our soul is who we really are. This is just an exterior for people to see and interact with. But there's a lot more to us than we know, and we need to be a little bit more in tune with ourselves so that we can just live a happier life. And if we can be happier with ourselves, then we can spread that happiness to other people and the world. So just want to let you guys know, be bold, be courageous, be fearless, be unique, and always, always be you. Stay with you guys.